Hello, my name is Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast from May 22nd to May 28th of 2016. And on May 22nd, we have the sun. It's in Gemini, and it's also in the 20th gate. On the outside of the wheel, we have the chop mark for the 20th hexagram, which goes yin, 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 yang, yang. And then the 20th hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. And right here, this is the 20th gate of the now. Contemplation, recognition, and awareness in the now transforms understanding into right action. Located in the throat center, in an individual energy path in the knowing circuit called the channel of the brainwave, a design of penetrating awareness that connects to its harmonic, the 57th gate of intuitive insight, the gentle, the extraordinary power of clarity. And being part of the integration channels, the 20th also forms the channel of awakening, a design of a commitment to higher principles, with the 10th gate of behavior of the self, treading, and the channel of charisma, a design where thoughts must become deeds, with the 34th gate of power, the power of the great. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person, that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we have the following activated gates on May 22nd. We have the sun in the 20th gate, with the earth in the 34th gate. The north node is in the 47th gate, with the south node in the 22nd gate. Mercury is stationed, or a standstill, as it turns direct later on the 22nd, and it is in the second gate. Venus is in the 8th gate. Mars is also in the 34th gate, along with the Earth, and Mars is retrograde. Jupiter is in the 64th gate. Saturn is retrograde in the 5th gate. Uranus is in the 42nd gate. Neptune is in the 63rd gate, and Pluto is retrograde in the 54th gate. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because as some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And we begin this week with two channel definitions due to the transit field. With Jupiter in the 64th gate and the North Node in the 47th gate, we have the channel of abstraction, a design of mental activity mixed with clarity, until June 7th. And this channel, the energy of this channel is about creating something new out of something old. It's about abstract thought being brought into the collective consciousness through the arts, philosophy, history, and culture. It's wonderful energy for telling stories about our experiences that can inspire others, but it can bring confusion when used to resolve our own issues. The defined head center can bring pressure to think about things that don't matter. And the defined ajna center can influence people to believe they're certain of something even when they're not. And then with the sun in the 20th gate and the earth and Mars in the 34th gate, we've got the channel of charisma until May 27th. And this influences us to become busier in the now, where the things we think about can become the experiences that we're having. Expect folks to be deeply involved in their daily activities and unaware of the expectations of others. People are not likely to even notice how busy they are, with the possibility of erupting spontaneously without knowing an awareness of why. They could be in their own little world, out of sight, out of mind. This also affects non-generators in feeling busy and having the endurance to work. Obviously, don't want to get used to that. And they may also think that they know when enough is enough, which could lead to the premature or abrupt end to something that really needs more time. And then the defined throat center can influence folks to talk about what they know in the now to attract attention. It's also individual circuitry. So this definition brings melancholy or blue feelings that are best channeled into some type of creative activity. May 22nd begins with the sun in the second line of the 20th hexagram. The sun in the second line of the 20 is the dogmatist, restrictive and intentional limited understanding. Exalted, the limitation, if personal and exclusive, is less negative than ascetic withdrawal. A restrictive awareness in the now. Detrimented, the power to lead others down the narrow path, the gift of expression, the gift through expression of leading others down a narrow and restrictive path. Later on the 22nd, the sun then moves into the third line of the 20th hexagram, and at 12:32 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that's 16:32 UT. And the sun is exalted in the third line of the third hexagram, but it's also being detrimented by the earth being in the third line of the 34th hexagram. So the exaltation is an upward pointing triangle. The detriment is a downward pointing triangle. So if you look in the just now part, just now chart, the 20th hexagram third line with the sun there is going to look like a six-pointed star because it has the exaltation and detriment overlaid, which is self-awareness, the understanding derived from analysis of personal actions and effects. Exalted, the proper attunement and development of personality through self-consciousness. The expression of self-conscious awareness in the now. Detrimented, self-consciousness in the extreme that hampers development. The expression of self-consciousness in the extreme. On the 23rd, the sun then moves into the fourth line of the 20th hexagram at 11:57 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 15:57 UT. The sun in the fourth line of the 20th hexagram is application, recognition, and awareness that can only be transformed into action in cooperation with those who have the ability to act upon the understanding. Exalted, the teacher whose students transcend him, where the expression of awareness can only be turned into action through others. The teacher. Detrimented, a tendency to prefer theory to application, the expression of awareness as theory with little interest in its application. On the 24th, the sun then moves into the fifth line of the 20th hexagram at 11:22 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 15:22 UT. The sun in the fifth line of the 20th hexagram is described as realism. Contemplation in and of itself is no guarantee of success. Exalted, where concentration on details results in the perfected form. The success of expressing awareness through detail. Detrimented, where reality creates dissatisfaction and adds to instability. The expression of awareness in the now through dissatisfaction with the reality one sees. And then also on the 24th, Venus moves out of the 8th hexagram in gate, and it moves into the 20th gate in hexagram, joining the sun. In human design, Venus is about values, morality, natural law, in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us. And Venus is in the 20th gate of the now, contemplation, recognition, recognition and awareness that transforms understanding into right action. And Venus is exalted in the first line of the 20th hexagram, which is superficiality, a reliance on shallowness. Exalted, the rising of superficiality to an art form, the sloganeer, superficial expression as an art form. On the 25th, the sun then moves into the sixth line of the 20th hexagram at 10:48 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 14:48 UT. The sun in the sixth line of the 20th is exalted due to Venus also being in the 20th, and is described as wisdom, contemplation, which results in the ability to apply understanding. Exalted, the establishment for the benefit of society, values, ideas, and their patterns, and how they can be understood and applied. The ability to transform individual awareness for the general application and understanding. And then on the 26th, the sun moves out of the 20th gate, leaving Venus behind, and it moves into the 16. And the Earth moves out of the 34, leaving behind Mars, and it moves into the 9. So we have the Earth is in the 9th hexagram, and this is the gate of focus, the taming power of the small. The potential can be fulfilled through detailed attention to all pertinent aspects. And this shift happens at 10:14 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's 14:14 UT. The sun in the 16th gate of skills, enthusiasm, the great art of enriching life through the harmonic channeling of energy. And the sun is in the first line of the 16, which is described as delusion, false enthusiasm, exalted, the daydream, the expression of talent through daydreaming, detrimented the public communication of inevitably unrealized claims, the tendency to express fantasy as fact. And as we move from the 20th to the 16th, we enter into the gate of skills, the voice of experimentation. And the 16 looks towards the splenic 48th gate of depth, the well, and the talent, the channel of talent. The 16 expresses the body's awareness through trying different things, looking at patterns, practicing to achieve mastery. The not self of the 16 is to try many different experiments due to the fear of inadequacy. They are ready to try somebody else's experiments. This is also in the stream of taste, where a person may develop a taste for a certain type of experiment. They can become identified with their taste, and if someone does not have the same taste, they may identify that that person does not like them. The not self of the 16 is to look for approval in others. The 16 is rooted in the authority and fear of authority. So rooted in authority and also the fear of authority, particularly authorities that conditioned it in its childhood. The polarity of this gate brings balance in the sacral 9th gate, which it goes into the details, deep into the details of the experiment that it had a taste for in the beginning. This brings us to the second variation of the cross of planning, with the 16 bringing progress to humanity. This is a talent for looking for solutions, with the 9th gate to focus on talented solutions. This is in the quarter of civilization. With the 16, we get technology to build, to see patterns, to make corrections, looking for depth, looking to experiment, to benefit the whole. This is logic, which has a problem in that it lacks energy, as none of the throat gates get directly to a motor. People on this cross may be involved in grant writing to get energy they need to work on the experiments that they are identified with. On the 27th, the sun then moves into the second line of the 16th hexagram at 9:41 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's 13:41 UT. The sun is exalted in the 16:2 and is described as the cynic, the sharpness to burst bubbles. Exalted self-reliance and the skill to judge objectively any claim regardless of rhetoric, the expression of the skill to judge objectively. And also on the 27th, Mars retrogrades back from the 34 to the 14, meaning that we have a different channel definition here with a defined G center and an undefined throat. So we've got Mars. It's in the 14th gate of power skills, possession in great measure, the accumulation and retention of power through skilled interaction, coupling grace with control. And retrograde Mars backs into the 6th line of the 14th hexagram, which is humility, wealth, and power at its most exalted. The enlightened recognition that material success is God's will. Spirituality is the key to acceptance and the source of power. Detrimented, all manifestations of this position are essentially positive, representing the existential recognition that material success it was unavoidable, and that humility engendered such great serendipity. Existentialism as the key to acceptance and the source of power. And Ross spoke about Mars being an extraordinary and immature energy resource that lacked refinement and is subject to outbursts. And with Mars in the 14th gate and Mercury in the 2nd gate, that brings us the channel of the beat, a design of being the keeper of the keys until June 2nd. This adds energy to follow our own direction in life through the experiences that empower others, either directly or indirectly. This will be a time where folks may feel the need to follow their inner mission in life. People will surrender to the rhythm of life rather than making decisions through thinking. Folks with this channel have a skill to manipulate change in the direction they wish, as long as they are waiting to respond to life. And the defined G center could influence folks to obsess about where they're headed or where they'll find love. And the defined sacral center continues to affect non-generator types with having an endurance to work, with feeling busy, and thinking that they know when enough is enough, which again could lead to the premature or abrupt ending to something that needs more time. This is also another individual channel which brings blue feelings or melancholy, which are really best used in some type of creative activity. On the 28th, the Sun then moves into the 3rd line of the 16th hexagram, which is independence, self-generating and sustaining enthusiasm, exalted the proper timing to maintain rhythm and avoid deflation, the independent skill and possible talent to express proper timing and rhythm, detrimented the child whose overconfidence leads to frustration and ensuring dependence on others to regenerate enthusiasm, thus creating an unnecessary reliance, the need to have others confirm one's skill or talent. So anyway, thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be for May 29th, 2016. Should be available on the 28th, when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, or YouTube, and I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose, and invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. If you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available, and a reading is a great way to make a donation and support us here. But if you just want to make a donation, feel free to email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com, and I'll give you instructions on how to do that. Anyway, I always feel blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for all these ancient mysteries, their synthesis and application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, And as Ra would say, love yourself. All my best to everybody and look forward to connecting in the future.